मारो मारो उंगली मारो। चेक। नंबर का है? कौन सा नंबर का? माहिती 3 नंबर। चेक चेक। हाँ ठीक। चल आपको तो आ रहा है यार, जीव दिखाना ये भाई तक शाम तक 10-15 मिनट बाद है। हाँ निकली पड़ी क्या? उधर कुछ नहीं चल रहा। वही सिग्नल की चीज का चीनी निकली पड़ी क्या? चीनी लगी है कि निकली पड़ी? लगी हुई है। देख सिग्नल की चीज का आ रहा है। देखिए एक बार निकाल के दूसरा लगा, सही से नहीं बैठ। निकाल के दूसरा लगा। आ गई अब लगा दूसरा। आ गई फिर। हाँ गई। हाँ क्लियर है। अब नहीं आ रहा। देख अब सिग्नल देख, अब आई नहीं जाते तो निकाल के लगाइए। हाँ सही से बैठ गई है। कितने बजे? 5 बजे 5:30 तक चलेगा या आज 6 6:30 तक? अरे ये ना मैं दिखा दूंगा। लाओ। हाँ अब आ गया थोड़े। अब पूरी क्लास दिख गया ना, समझ में आ गया उधर। लिंक आया। मांग लो। किससे मांगा था तुमने? मांगा कब मांगा था? वॉल्यूम खराब होने के बाद? हाँ है कॉल कर रहे थे वो उस कॉल नहीं उस पे वो ऑडियो नहीं जा रहा है। ऑडियो तब मांगा ऑडियो अंदर तस्वीर बस ये टीवी भी चलती है आ रहा था और चल रहा था। जब सुबह टेस्ट करा था तब तो सही आ रहा था सिग्नल। में चेक करा था, टेस्ट करा था हमने, नहीं करा था मैं नहीं देख सकता। तो हमने ये देखा वो देखा जो वीडियो चलता है ये नहीं देखा। अपनी अपनी बाहर का वो उधर चेक हुआ इधर वीडियो वो नहीं देखा। तो ये नहीं होगा जब वो लाइव उसमें नहीं था क्या? एक तो हमने देखो इसमें सेल पैकिंग तो सारी सुविधा और हुआ था फायदा है। हाँ मंगोली का मैंने बोला था परसों की बात है। वीडियो नहीं जा रहा था, वीडियो को सब जा रहा है, वीडियो नहीं जा रहा था, वीडियो का ऑडियो नहीं जा रहा था, माइक बुलेट हो जा रहा था। सेटिंग ऐसे करते हैं मालूम नहीं रहता। मेरी तो सेटिंग पहले से की थी। तो आप कौन
Very good morning to everyone and welcome to this very important and relevant session on sustainable development through Mission Life, which is lifestyle for environment. Not Sorry. So I'll start again. A very warm welcome to everyone and welcome to this important session on sustainable development through Mission Life, which is lifestyle for environment. And I will be taking you through the flow of the event. So we would have welcome address by Dr. Livleen. She is Associate Director in TERI and she works in Education Environment Awareness Division, which will be followed by a special address by Dr. Dipankar Seharia, and he would talk about the how we are on the path of sustainability, the 50 years which TERI has spent in this area. Followed by there would be a panel discussion on the topic I just mentioned, and we have our eminent panelist, Mr. Anshuman, he's Director TERI, Ms. Soumya Sil, she is from WBCS, Department of Land Reforms and Land Revenue and Refugee and Rehabilitation, Government of West Bengal. We have with us Ms. Shashi Banerjee, she is Director, Shivnada Schools. Then we have Shri Rupeshwar Gaurav Das, he is from ISKCON, he is a lifestyle coach. And Dr. Amit Tuteja, he is the founder Connecting Dreams Foundation. And in the end, we'll have a Q&A session and we'll talk about what are the key takeaways. Thank you so much, and I invite Dr. Livleen on stage to give her welcome address. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitika. A pleasure to be here with all our friends and supporters for the mission of environment education. So today we are all sitting here together to take forward our discussions and understanding about Mission Life. So Mission Life, an acronym that all of us are very familiar with, that is Lifestyle for Environment. TERI stays committed to the cause of sustainable development, and it is a pleasure and an honor to invite all our dignitaries and our panelists for this esteemed session. May I call upon Mr. Anshuman, Director from Water Resources, TERI, to please come up on the stage. Ms. Soumya Sil, from the Department of Land Reforms and Land Revenue from Government of West Bengal. Ms. Shashi Banerjee, a friend, Director, Shivnada Schools, ma'am, welcome. Shri Rupeshwara Gaurav Dasji from ISKCON, please. Dr. Amit Tuteja, founder, Connecting Dreams Foundation, and the person who connects all the threads for us. It's an honor to welcome Dr. Dipankar Seharia, Senior Director TERI, to be a part of this esteemed panel. So there was a purpose for me to read out the names and designations of all these people who are with us today. Because if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, goal number 17 is extremely important. Partnerships and network. This particular conference, International Conference of Sustainability Education, is extremely important because it puts in the best from all fields. The practitioners, the academicians, the policy makers, the cultural leaders, and people who make a difference. So I think the only percentage that is missing from this hall are the students. So, but I do hope that each one of those who are present in this panel will take forward the message to the students, because they are the actual change makers. So just a few more points before we move on to the session, we speak about training our children, our youth about 21st century skills. And 21st century skills seems to be a very, very fashionable and the talk of the town. But what is 21st century skills? And why are we doing this session today? Environment education needs to be looked upon and promoted through interdisciplinary participation. A brief look into our past. We are all familiar with our leaders from the historic era, the Socrates, the Plato and Aristotle. What was the relationship between these three social leaders? Socrates, we all know, was a Greek philosopher. His disciple, Plato, was the one whose sayings and his teachings are engraved in the logic and geometry which laid the Renaissance period. And Aristotle, again a student of Plato, was the one who conquered the entire world. So is it that what was taught to them is what they promoted further? No. They went into different fields. And this is the role of an educator. This is the role of a teacher, of a practitioner. We need to open up the students to more learnings. The Google is there. We have to tell our students not to search, but to read, to be more informed, and to be a part of such networks, such learner gatherings where they are enthused to learn more in their journeys. So with this, I welcome you all to this session on knowing more about mission life, and we look forward to listening to all our panelists in this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Livleen. Now I would call upon Dr. Dipankar Saharia to talk about the 50 glorious years of TERI. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Nitika. Good morning to you all. It's an honor to be here again. Yesterday I was there in the opening session of the plenary session. To start off, I think today's topic is extremely important. Moving towards sustainable development through mission life, something that we need to follow for everything that we do in the future at the individual level and definitely at the community level. As far as TERI is concerned, we are there since last 50 years. And we are celebrating our 50 years starting from June this year to 24 June next year. It all happened in 1974 when the world was facing the energy crisis of fossil fuels. 2-3 visionaries, none other than Mr. J.R.D. Tata, thought about this institute which was named as then the Tata Energy Research Institute. Under his chairmanship and a group of members of the Tata Enterprise, TERI started off in Mumbai House as a documentation center. During the initial years, it was thought that TERI would support research on energy because that time, I think not many, although there were different discussions world over on pollution and the need of energy, but nothing as such started in India. And I think it was the vision of such leadership that energy was a subject for research during 70s when we in India had some other objective to be, hunger and poverty and, lack of the basic amenities were point of discussion. But who could, think about energy at that time, that energy would be a crisis, energy would be a resource point, and energy sustainable development would be a point of discussion and need as we move forward in the future years that had come after that. So it started with that, and we started with research on energy, renewable energy, then took off, and slowly we shifted our headquarters to our Delhi office with our main focus shifting from energy to sustainable development. As again we move forward, we expanded our presence. We were then present now in a beautiful campus of 100 acres in Gwalpahari, Terigram, where we have the latest in terms of the different research that is required in the field of environment, in the field of sustainable development, in the field of energy efficiency, in the field of building, and the things that we are covering as an institute of knowledge. Now, as far as climate change is concerned, I think we are one of the pioneering institutes in India when we started off this work, and we organized the first international conference on climate change, a first by a developing country way back in 1989. Then it was, later Mr. Darbari Seth was our chairman of our council, of our governing council, and Dr. Pachauri was then the director and later the Director General of TERI. So as we move forward, we diversified our activities to biotechnology, natural resource management, and the environment education and the awareness division, which is very much present today and conducting this very important session on mission life. So it started off with different technologies being developed by TERI. The one we had pioneered our work on tissue culture, in vitro propagation of plants, producing lakhs of millions of plants of superior quality planting material. This started off in the late 80s, 80, 89, we got a project, and it was one of those pilot projects that was sanctioned by Government of India. And along with two other major pilot activities, I think in NCL Pune was the other recipient of this pilot project, and this is still been operated by TERI without, of course, the government funding added after 5 or 10 years, and after that this is one of the sustainable technologies that still are producing and providing superior quality planting material to different farmers of the horticulture, forestry species and many other species, and even to supplying as far as Europe and other countries is concerned. Then we had developed one of the big technologies which we call as oil zapper. It's a consortium of bacteria which actually converts the sludge, the wastage that is produced in the oil refineries and the drilling sites and the spill that happens through this bioremediation process, which ultimately converts the oil into the CO2 and soil, and therefore it is an environmental friendly technology. Earlier it used to be burnt out, this leftover was to be burnt out, and as the pollution things were becoming more stricter and with lots of regulation coming in, this technology came in, and we are there helping out the refineries and the oil companies to work out with their waste that is generated every year. And in fact we have a company with now ONGC, which is known as the ONGC TERI Biotechnology Limited, where we work with them in their different operational sites and help them to convert their waste into a normal usable form of soil. We have reached out as far as Kuwait is concerned, even working for this technology, where we had applied this technology, and we had faced a lot of challenges there in terms of the emanations lying on those oily sludge that were left after those, oils were just fired and, the oil came out from those oils. So those are the experience that we have. And we had the first, the indigenous green building rating system of India, which is known as TERI Griha. That is one more, addition to our work for efficient buildings and the resource efficiency part, where, are one of the major milestone in terms of sustainable development. And along with that, we have several center of excellences. One set up along with the lines of Griha is the Mahindra Center of Excellence for, testing out building material. Recently, we were sanctioned one of the, latest happenings in terms of a Center of Excellence for green ports and shipping by the Ministry of Shipping, Government of India. So TERI is a part of, the whole process of sustainable development and contributing in this line for the last 50 years. In fact, along with the research that we are in, we also started off in 1998 the TERI University, which we call as the TERI School of Advanced Studies, where we are, helping our students to take up courses that are relevant in the field of sustainable development, a different kind of courses, not, the kind of courses that is being available in the other universities, but courses that are related to natural resource management, energy, efficient buildings, MBAs on sustainable development, a different kind of courses. So that is, taking our research and to, letting youth and students have knowledge of things that will be of great importance in the future years to come. And that is how, when I spoke yesterday about, education and climate change, how education can really contribute to climate change, I think the knowledge part and thereafter the action and transformation that would happen later in this world, I think is very important. Climate did not change itself. It's the human beings that, affected change. We added the change word to the climate. It was there very normal, happy with it way of, being only climate. But once we went for the development and, push for our own lifestyle, things really change. And we added all those changes that is happening to climate change and those greenhouse gases and those things that we study when we are talking about, climate change. Then TERI organizes one of the biggest event, our flagship event every year. That also we started in, which was earlier known as Delhi Sustainable Development Summit, and now World Sustainable Development Summit. And we had 56 heads of state, different countries, several Nobel laureates, well-known speakers, and most of them, since it started, has been inaugurated by our Prime Minister. It started off by the inauguration by late Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee in 2001, then Dr. Kalam, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and the last edition by none other than our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi. So this is how we have moved forward in the last 50 years. And as we move forward, it is not about the achievements that we had so far or, what we have done and the different milestones that we achieved. But the important part is the contribution to the society in terms of how we added value in the whole effort of sustainable development, something that TERI has been working in everything that we do. Every division that we work adds up to our contribution in sustaining the things that we are taking up. Even if our current, this panel and the, different work that has been taken by our environment, education and the awareness group, division, I think it all relates to youth, making them understand the importance of environment, the knowledge for environment, the way we should understand sustainable development, and how everyone can contribute to it at the individual level, at the community level, and how it is important that we are reaching out to lakhs and lakhs of students every year, and they are finally reaching out to more, in their to their communities, and having our presence in 5 different regional centers of India. Terry, we have our centers in Guwahati, Bangalore, Mumbai, Goa, Mukteshwar. So we have our cover in our own way. All these centers were set up in the 90s. 94 we started with Bangalore Center, 93 we started with Bangalore, 94 Northeast, the Guwahati Center. You know, to make you very clear, nobody have the center in the Northeast, I think in the 90s. Now there are a lot of government centers and a lot of things happening. But earlier in the 90s, it was only Terry could have a vision to open a center in the northeast of India, where I belong from. So 94, and I was working in the center since 98. So that is how we have worked. We have reached corners of Nagaland and Arunachal, where we had to trek for 2 days to reach out to the communities. So those are the commitments that we have shown, and we are still committed to make it better. The challenges are more pressing ahead, and Terry is there to contribute all the way to achieving the goals and, making the earth a better place to live. So thank you so much with these words. Thank you. I think I'll sit there, panelists.
Well, thank you, Dr. Dipankar, for taking us through an awe-inspiring journey of Terry and how Terry has marched ahead in the area of sustainability. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Neha, who would be moderating the session. And if you want, I would like to also reintroduce our panelist on the dais. We have Mr. Anshuman, Director in Terry, and he's also winner of Mission Life. There was a competition rolled out by Niti Aayog, and there were 75 entries selected pan-India, and Dr. Anshuman was one of the winners. Then we have with us Ms. Soumya Sir. She is Revenue Officer from West Bengal, and she is working in Department of Land Reforms and Land Revenue and Refugee and Rehabilitation, Government of West Bengal. A big round of applause for her. Then we have on dais Ms. Shashi Banerjee. She is Director of Shiv Nagar Schools and an amazing individual. A big round of applause for her as well. Sri Rupeshwar Gaurang Das Prabhuji. He is from ISKCON. That is his spiritual name, and he's a professional who's working in IT sector, and he's a lifestyle coach, motivational speaker, counselor, and a guide. Please put your hand together for him. Dr. Amit Uteja, he's the founder from Connecting Dreams Foundation. He recently organized an amazing summit by the name of Changemaker 20. We all were part of it, and a big round of applause for him as well. Thank you, Dr. Neha, and over to you.
Thank you, Nitika. And once again, I'm welcoming you all to the thematic track organized by Terry, moving towards sustainable development through Mission Life with children and youth in perspective. Thank you, Dr. for beautifully summarizing Terry's 50 years of journey. This has given everyone a overview of the kind of work Terry has been doing, and today in this session we will be interacting with a lot of our experts. Thank you, Nitika, for welcoming us all. Sustainability is a critical topic in today's world. It encompasses the urgent need to balance economic growth, social well-being, and environmental preservation. The decisions that we make today have a profound impact on the future of our planet and the quality of life for generations to come, wherein sustainable education plays a pivotal role in shaping a mindset that embraces responsible practices and environmental stewardship. Today, through this session, which is a brilliant gender bias session, so balance we have there, and I think we should applaud for that, because these days getting gender balance in a session is really a challenging zone. We will be hearing from our distinguished speakers who have been actively involved in promoting sustainability and Mission Life. We will gain valuable insight into the significance of sustainability education, the challenges we face, and the concrete steps needed to move towards a more sustainable future. The goal of this session is not only to discuss but also to inspire action, fostering a commitment to sustainability and extend beyond this conference. We encourage all our participants to please engage in the discussion, share your perspectives, and ask questions. For the benefit of all, I'll just brief you all that in the discussion, we will be having a question answer kind of a discussion with all the speakers, such that the speakers will be sharing their thoughts, ideas, views in a time frame of 10 to 11 minutes, so that we try and finish the discussion in 50 to 55 minutes. I understand that we are running late because of the spill up of the first panel discussion. We'll try and complete our panel discussion by 1 o'clock, and then we will have 10 minutes of question and answers with the participants. I hope this is fine with everyone. So let's start with our first speaker, Mr. Anshuman, who brings a wealth of experience and expertise to our discussion today. He has extensive background in the water sector with over 26 years of dedicated service in this field. Mr. Anshuman, if as Nitika shared with everyone, you are the winner for the Mission Life. So we are eager to learn more about your role in Mission Life, which is lifestyle for the environment. Please share with us how you became involved in this initiative and what was the role that you, your team, and Terry as a winner entails.
Sure, thanks Neha. An honor to be part of this discussion. See, what is Mission Life promoting is basically behavioral change towards, having more sustainable use of the natural resources, and water is of course one of them. If you look into the background of how we have been using water as a resource, and I'm not talking worldwide, I'm just talking about our country, we have not really been very efficient about it. Talk about irrigation sector, we are at best 30-40% efficient in terms of using it. Talking about you and me, if you are looking into the domestic water consumption, as of now, still most of our cities are wasting water through leakage and losses to the tune of around 30, 40, 50%, even 60% in some cases. And we have audited a lot many cities. Now the point is, we have not been able to use the resource which is available to us, fortunately, at least for now, in a sufficient quantity, in a very efficient manner. We have been wasting it. And there are many other perspectives which we know about water pollution, non-availability of water, etc., etc. What we thought about is to take very basic things, something that we need to do to make that critical mass impact change in the country, which was you and me looking at our behavioral perspective of how we use water. And that's something that we wanted to initiate, and we proposed as an idea for restaurants being efficient in how they're using water. If you look into, again, the kind of practices for restaurant, for the kind of, kitchen practices, the serving, etc., etc., there are a lot of opportunity of how they can, conserve water. So what we proposed in this particular, idea was two-pronged approach. One was to look into how the water is being used, so therefore the leakage losses, etc., detection of that. Basically educating and making the restaurants capable enough to first detect and to therefore control the leakages into their operations. But also the behavioral change, as I mentioned, through a blue star rating system. The idea was to look into how we can encourage them to be more conservative, save water in their operations, and therefore become more water positive, or let's say water star rated, more efficient restaurant. Why we wanted to propose this, it's something like you would have heard about the Bureau of Energy Efficiency star rating systems. The idea is to make sure that these initiative by these restaurants, when they do that, are recognized, and that encourages them to basically come forward towards being more efficient and inspire a chain reaction amongst the sector to basically emulate and therefore create that critical mass impact. So these were the two-pronged approach that we proposed. Now, what can be done? There are a number of kind of initiatives that can be taken. For example, to start with, you might have seen in public, systems these days, commercial establishment, malls, etc. We are now moving towards from a simple tap towards sensor-based taps. Now, just to kind of share with you, the difference of water saving between a normal tap operation and a sensor-based tap operation is almost 70%. So that much amount of water you save. But not just that, that's technological interventions, behavioral changes. For example, how we are washing our utensils, how we are, brushing teeth, for example, brushing, in morning. These all are interventions. For example, if we switch off the taps, in the morning while brushing or while shaving, the range of water saving is around 3,000, liter a month. And likewise, there are many such initiatives. So what we thought was we'll go to the restaurants, we'll sit with them, look into their operations, monitor, observe, capacitate them to, be able to look into how the, water conservation can be done, and then of course create this rating system, which basically will be encouraging them towards wider, water conservation practices. So this was the initiative that we thought about and we proposed, and that's where we were recognized as one of the top 5.
What a brilliant initiative.
Thank you.
So you talked about Water Positive Institute, although you thought of taking it with the restaurant. So, but if I say that, what are your thoughts and view about the role these educational institutes play, because we are talking about the children and youth in perspective. So how they can play in the success of such an initiative for being a water positive institute? And have you ever thought about how we can, as other institutes and TERI, can collaborate with the schools and colleges to integrate water resource management and its efficiency into the curricula?
See, one of the things is that the change that will come, or let's say the critical mass change that will come is more expected by the younger generation to bring in future. And therefore, it's very important that we engage with them, sensitize them, make them aware about the kind of issues, but also with the solutions to see that impact is created over a period of time. I mean, the changing in habit of people like 40, 50, 60 is a bit difficult. But if a child goes to, their parents or their, colleagues and friends, and then tells and promotes the idea of water conservation, that hits very fast. So what we have done over a period of time is we have been engaging with several schools and institutions in, capacitating them, training programs and awareness programs that we have done. You have been part of that, Neha, as well. Our, division, which looks into environmental education, has been very widely engaging with many schools across the country. Basically bringing them on board towards sensitization of how and what are the challenges in water pollution, aspects of wastages and etc. But also what needs to be done in context of saving, conservation, rainwater harvesting. Now all of these are interventions which we want to kind of make the youth aware about and take that forward over a period of time when they are really the action when they have the action to take forward to. We have conducted many such sessions in various schools and where we have demonstrated the perspective of drinking water treatment systems, how you monitor water quality. We have a water testing kit, for example, how that can be done in a remote area. What is the perspective of water conservation, rainwater harvesting, grey water recycle, reuse, and so on and so forth. So all of these are the topics which we have been engaging with the students over a period of time to make sure that they are able to understand the nitty-gritties and of course are the torchbearer for implementation later on.
When we say that you are the torchbearer, some kind of sometimes the youth might feel that, oh my God, the entire burden is on my shoulders. So definitely sustainability and such kind of a thing require collaboration across sectors and stakeholders. So something you would kind of enlighten us on those aspects that the institutes can look at it, the educational institutes or the youth can look at it.
Sure. See, I think the entire importance of the idea of water conservation, etc., as I said earlier as well, is to see that not only the ideas or technologies which have been known across are just known or just shared. What we are wanting us to do is to see that these are implemented at a scale where it can create that critical mass impact. And in that context, collaboration, sharing of knowledge, demonstrations are very, very important tool. And I would say as best as possible, as far as possible, and not just, for example, educational institutes and a program like this where we are sitting in a particular closed room, but as well go on field, on for example, field where farmers, can be educated and demonstrate. We have done that, in some of the projects. We've gone to the field, worked with the farmers, demonstrated them what are the kind of, let's say, 5, 7, 10 practices on conserving water, zero tillage, water efficient varieties, laser leveling, drip irrigation system, so on and so forth. Demonstrating them and making them aware about how to take it forward is something that at a grassroots level as well is important. So at each nook and corner of water use and those stakeholders who are involved into that process, it's very important to engage with them. And therefore, as much as NGOs, institutions, school, youth, all of these have to make a part. And I'm very happy that we have representative from ISKCON, and I'm aware about their initiatives on how resource conservation as well is done. So all of these entities, including religious institutions, have a role to play. And the better and the more this association and collaboration happens, I believe that critical mass impact that I'm referring to will be sooner to come.
Thank you so much, Anshuman. And we take your words that collaboration and sharing of knowledge is essential. With this, I move on to my second speaker, Ms. Soumya Sel. She has transitioned from IT sector to a prominent civil servant role and has actively participated in environmental related conferences. You briefed me just before the session. So, Ms. Sel, we all are curious to know. I know this is not part of the discussion, but as a curious thing, if you can briefly tell us what inspired or motivated you to make this career shift and how you influence yourself towards your perspective on environmental sustainability. What motivated you?
Can I just... Hi, good morning everyone. So basically I was, after I have done my graduation and masters both in botany, and as you know that this is a subject which is close to environment and all that. We deal with trees, plants and things that make the environment clean. So after that I had a transition. I just wanted to explore, and I worked for IT for like around 3 years, but then there was a major realization that happened that somehow I felt, with due respect to the people, I know that there are many people who are working in the IT sector now, I felt that I'm contributing less to the society and more maybe to something which is not that good for the society. For example, during the time when I was in IT, all these environment sustainability and all that, they were very new things. Like I was in IT like for 2010, 2013 and all. But gradually I understood that I need to do something for the cause of the nation or for the cause of the society, like how all civil servants feel. The most important thing is that I needed to be grounded. I needed to work for the people who are actually contributing more to the society, to the like farmers and all. So, and when actually the transition happened, then I realized that I had taken a wise decision so far as environment sustainability and everything is concerned. Specifically for the IT people, what I feel is very small habits, like they use more cars, they use, the AC is what they use, or maybe the glass or the window panes, or they obviously everything basically contributes to the harming the environment in one way or the other. But when I consider my department or when I consider any government sector, we basically travel in local trains. We work in offices which do not have ACs. ACs, it's luxury for us. In blocks, in the remotest parts of the villages, there won't be even current for like 2 hours, 3 hours or something. Yes, we have to, end of the day we feel very tired or something, but somehow we believe that at least we are not contributing which is degrading the environment, or we are contributing to them who are actually doing something good for the environment, the farmers, the land, etc. So this was a major, I did not obviously realize, I will not say when I actually made the shift I realized, but eventually in due course of time I realized that I had done a
And we are honored to have you here. So Soumya, because you are linked with the government sector, so I would like to understand, or rather we would like to understand from you that government institutions play a crucial role in shaping sustainable policies and practices. So from your point of view, how do you see the role of government institution, because specifically you have worked in a corporate sector, in positively supporting the sustainable initiatives? So what's...
Yes, so basically as we are talking about sustainability education or the word sustainability, if you only focus on the word sustainability, it does not only consider the environment. It also considers society, it also considers economy. So till whenever the government institution is considered, this is always a top to a bottom approach. Like they are the policy makers and then they try to create a change and bring in certain changes which gradually perpetuates down to the lower level, to the society. But when we consider mission life, this is a totally different thing. Like this is a bottom to a top approach where we are actually trying to make some sustainable changes in small habits, like not keeping the tap opened or using less ACs, or for example when we are talking about IT sector, using shared shuttles, like which is not creating which is creating a positive change in the environment. So this is a top to down this is a bottom to a top approach whenever the mission life along with sustainability is considered. And the thing is, the most important problem of the government, at least when we talk about the government of India or even the government of West Bengal, is bringing these three pillars, that is environment, economy and society, is very hard for them, because once a rapid economic growth is considered, it will obviously impact negatively on the environment. Like it is obviously inversely proportional. And for India or in West Bengal, if we consider, it is also aided by the rapid growth of population. So whenever there is a rapid growth of population, there would be the much more demand to bring in changes, and whenever these economic changes will happen, obviously it would have a negative impact on the environment. So bringing these three to a platform will obviously need a third pillar, that is the civic society responsibility as well as the corporate social responsibility. So when these three are on the same platform, it becomes very easy for the government to frame the policies as well as for the people to take up the policies. Like whenever we are bringing some schemes for the people, the most important thing is that not only rolling out the schemes but also to sensitize the people that what will be the effects, the advantages and the disadvantage of the particular scheme. So like same for the environment, whenever we are rolling out something, we need to at least sensitize the people, work at the ground level. Thankfully we have been given the responsibility of doing that. So there are a lot of schemes. Sometimes the schemes get superimposed. People do not come to know what scheme they are going to get, what kind of benefit. So as a part of the government or as a part of the West Bengal government, what we do is that we first sensitize the people. We carry out, we go to the blocks, we talk to the people, we know their needs, even for whenever the environment, cleaning the environment is considered. Nadia is a district in West Bengal which had won accolades for the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So what happened is that the change has to be brought from the change in lifestyle. That's what Mission Life deals with. When we talk about ancient India, they were already leading that mission life. But now after the Cold War era, after this nuclear era, we have to implement the mission life in a different way.
So any specific challenge you would like to share with us that as a revenue officer for the government of West Bengal, you must have incited during your course of work?
So far as West Bengal is considered, whatever environmental challenges, the most environment challenge is land degradation, because I have been a part of the land revenue. The most important challenge is land degradation as well as the wastewater management, because the river, is it in its lower course as we consider geography? Ganga, that is Hooghly river, is it in its lower course? And the maximum water pollution happens there before it drains into the Bay of Bengal. Second thing is we have the land degradation is a major impact. So West Bengal, I have always considered it is a mini India. We have the mountains in the north, we have the plateau in the west, we have the Gangetic delta plains, and we even have the sea. So it's like a mini India. So whatever challenges we are facing in India, we are actually facing in a much more concentrated level in West Bengal. So all the challenges, considering land degradation is the most important challenge, and so far as the statistics is concerned, out of 8,000, I guess the total area of West Bengal is 88,750 square kilometer. Out of it, 25% of the land is under degradation, which we are specifically in the area of the Sundarban. 1/4 of the area of Sundarban is already under, already it's being eaten up by Bay of Bengal. Then the mangrove forest, which is very important to, I should say it's an environmental indicator as well. That is also going down towards the sea. So these are all the challenges, specifically arsenic pollution, we have the drinking water issues, we have fluoride emission. So all these things are actually the challenges, but then the government is working on it and trying to bring all the civic societies as well as the corporates in the same level. And as I say, changing up of the habits is very important through Mission Life, and I'm very sure that it will happen in the years to come.
So, with your experience, what do you think are the future prospects and priorities of West Bengal government in the realms of the environmental sustainability?
Okay, so far as the Bengal government is considered, there are a lot of policies. I will talk about one or two a little elaborately. So recently Newtown is a satellite city in West Bengal, I mean in Calcutta, which is very close to the airport. So I believe that this Newtown shall be considered to be a model for many of the cities of India. So what they have done, I will just read out some of the initiatives. It is a green city initiative that they have taken. First thing they have taken is so Newtown is basically a place where it is there is land, there is habitable land, there is agricultural land, as well as there are water bodies. So they have converted the whole thing into a satellite city. Secondly, there is effective waste management, which is like, and the most important thing, the people of Newtown, because, so Newtown is basically an area which is developed outside West Bengal because of outside Calcutta, sorry. So Calcutta, because of overpopulation, people are actually shifting to the outskirts. So Newtown was such a city that was built on that perspective. And they also had a lot of challenges like salt water system and all that. And things have been made in such a manner, for example, most of the people use cycles. We have cycle kiosks over there. We have water ATMs over there. And we have a very effective sewage disposal over there. Most importantly, we have a major water harvesting system, as well as the first Wi-Fi street of India is in Newtown, which is like around 8 kilometers at a stretch. So these are the things that the government of West Bengal, and the most important thing, not only in West Bengal, like I was brought up in Delhi, and over the years in Delhi was one of the most vastly populated cities in India. But gradually, as I keep coming to Delhi, every year I see more greenery. Like all the streets I see, so that is something I believe not only in a particular state, but in all the states this green initiative is being taken, and if this has been taken, I believe that will be a positive change towards sustainable development.
Thank you so much, Soumya, for sharing so many insights with your experience coming in. With this, I would like to move on to my speaker who's sitting in the extreme other end of the dais, Shri Rupeshwar Gaurang Das ji. He's a lifestyle coach, motivational speaker, counselor, guide, over 15 years of experience in inspiring and mentoring individuals. Thank you so much for joining us. I would like to understand from you that ISKCON has a strong foundation in spiritual learning and ethical values. Do you see any connection between spirituality and shaping the ideas of sustainability and ethical values of children and youth?
Thank you so much, Neha. First of all, my sincere gratitude to you and the coordinators for inviting me here. Definitely there is a strong relationship between spirituality and the environment and the climate change. From a spiritual perspective, we see environmental changes as a spiritual problem, which demands a spiritual solution also. So in addition to what we all are doing, and our exalted panelists, they are mentioning so many things like water conservation, efficient use of energy, all these things. These are definitely very important, but there is a spiritual side of things also. So the pollution in the environment is basically somewhere directly proportional to the pollution in the minds of people, right? If there is a degradation in the environment, somewhere there is a degradation in the values, in the human values. So there is a connection, and there is a strong connection. Even if we are able to clean the environment with so many things, right? We can follow the best practices, we can follow so many things. Even if we are able to clean to some extent, if the consciousness of people is not changed, then they will spoil the environment again, right? So the immediate solution, definitely we have talked about, so many things, and which are immediate solutions, but there is an ultimate solution also that we need to look forward. So that ultimate solution is that we need to bring a change in the consciousness of people. We need to raise the consciousness of people. So today, people have become so greedy, they want to exploit nature, they want to exploit all living beings just for their benefit. They won't, give a second thought that it may harm someone else. There is lack of compassion, right? So compassion is like you feel pain for the suffering of others, right? You are happy when others are happy and you feel bad when others feel bad, right? This is compassion. Now this compassion is lacking so much today. People just wants to get things done. They are not worried about the future generations. Like we were talking here, that we need to preserve the environment for the future generation. But if you are so self-centered and if you don't have a compassion for other living beings, you won't care about it. You will say, okay, I will live my life and I will go on, right? Why I have to bother about the future generations? So these values, right, these values has to be there. So there is a strong connection, and we need to really, in addition to the other things that we are doing, we need to add this new perspective also, that we need to educate people to bring these moral values, these spiritual values into their life. We need to educate them, we need to make them aware that the root cause of the problem we have to fix, where we need to raise the consciousness of the people.
As you say, that consciousness and mindfulness are the integral to sustainable development. So how do you introduce these young individuals to practices that enhance their awareness on the environmental issues, or to inspire them for thoughtfulness decisions?
Yeah, that's a very nice question, because there has to, once we understand the problem, right, we have to work towards the solution, and solution has to be a very practical solution. Right, so from a spiritual organization perspective, what we are doing is we are helping people understand that these spiritual values they can bring into their lives by meditation and yoga. There are so many yoga theories, there are so many practices that they can follow. For example, in ISKCON, we follow Bhakti Yoga, where we chant a mantra. Mantra means something that controls your mind. See, someone may say that, your intelligence may say that, okay, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be wasting water. You shouldn't be wasting so many resources, right? This is what your intelligence is saying. But your mind, if it is not in control, you will end up doing that, right? So there has to be harmony between mind and body, between the intelligence and the soul. So there has to be harmony. What your intelligence is saying, you should be able to follow that. If you are not able to follow that, your mind is not in control. So through mantra, what we do is we are able to control our mind. We get strength, right? You have so many best practices on paper, right? Like, one of our panelists was mentioning, you have to take care of small things, if you are cleaning your utensils, you have to be very careful, small things you have to take care. Until unless there is a strong inspiration for the individuals that I have to do this because there is a strong reason behind this, they won't be able to follow, and you can't put cameras all around their home that what they are doing. So ultimately there has to be a change in the consciousness, which can be done through the yoga practices, where people can follow many yoga practices as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. But what one we are following is mantra meditation. We try to control the mind, and it is really helping the individual. So mantra meditation and the yoga is something people can look forward to control their mind and bring harmony in their lives.
But you see, behavior change we talk about, the transformational learning we talk about, these are quite challenging and time-consuming process.
Right.
So I'm sure you must be adopting some motivational strategies, at least, especially to the younger ones. It's very difficult to kind of channelize their energy and keep them focused to one point. So how do you help them overcome those barriers and adopt these eco-friendly habits or practices? I would appreciate if you can share some interesting or story which is very close to you.
Yes, so I'll share two perspectives this answer. One is that the kids and the younger generation, they learn very fast, right? They are the right people to accommodate new changes, because it becomes very difficult when we are beyond a certain age. It becomes very difficult. So we approach youth we approach kids, we have various programs where we talk about these concepts and we try to raise the awareness of people. That's one thing that we are doing. And on the practical front, we are running some projects. Like one of our main project is Govardhan Eco Village in ISKCON. We have many farm communities and many projects. This is one of our big projects that we have. It's in Mumbai, and it's like 90 kilometers in the south of Mumbai. We have this Govardhan Eco Village where we have this Govardhan School of Sustainability, right? So in that, we have implemented many sustainable solutions within that eco village, and someone should go and search on the internet. It's really interesting, and this is what you all are doing, and it will be really good to collaborate actually. So there are many things that we are doing there. There are sustainable solutions that we are implementing. I'll try to mention some of them. So there is a waste management, there is a water conservation that we are doing, and organic agriculture.
We are even trying to collaborate with the government for bringing out sharing the case studies as a part of the curriculum, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So basically what we have done is we have created a model it will be a model, it will be a kind of a role model eco village where other gets inspiration. So you have to do something, you have to show something to inspire people. So this Govardhan School of Sustainability is an educational scheme where we give courses to the youth. At the same time, there are practical things. I mean, so many awards have been given to Govardhan Eco Village if you search on the internet, and all the practical things, we are doing there, including the examples I have given for waste management and water conservation. So this is something very practical we are doing in addition to many other projects that we are doing. So both practical aspects as well as the spiritual aspects combined together will really help people to, raise their consciousness.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing the spiritual dimensions of sustainable development with us. With this, I would like to move on to our next speaker, Ms. Shashi Banerjee. With a rich background and dedication to transformative leadership, Ms. Banerjee has played a pivotal role in shaping educational initiatives. Ma'am, I would like to understand from you that educational institutions are often seen as the key influencers. These days we talk about the youth are the change makers, they are the one who can bring about the real world. So there is a need to shape these young minds and foster responsible citizenships. So as a director of Shiv Nada schools, can you share the major challenges for incorporating sustainability and environmental educations into the school curriculum, particularly for the younger ones?
Thank you, Neha, and thank you, everyone. It's been such a riveting conversation and sharing of practices, which is what is very important. And I see my role here in this panel to be able to contribute to what teaching and learning environments can do or are doing. And I'm sure with the way the world is moving, anyone who is born with some kind of cognitive and affective kind of ability will not see this as a big alarm for the way they live. So I think talking about lifestyle, that's a mission which every school, and what are schools? Schools are spaces where you have the youngest of learners get an opportunity to live and grow towards actualizing potential individually, societally, making the world a better place, however lofty that seems. And I think the vision of any learning organization needs to look deep into seeing what is your simple routine, your structure. And I'd like to take from where our learned practitioner and life coach share, and we were having this conversation before the panel started, many of us. One is that India is many Indias. No one person and one community and one space will be able to address and, kind of provide relief from the megalomammal mania, or whatever you might call it. Yes. We just feel that we are consumers and can consume anything and everything. what is the meaning of co-creation, collaboration. I think most of the worthy panelists shared that movement from competition to collaboration. I'd go further and take up from there to say spirituality is an area which is sometimes not touched because it's sticky, just as ethics is. Ethical dilemmas of the way you live, what you do, what is progress, what is economic development. We are all part of a society where we are living in such contradictory realities, where we come in, and I'm talking about myself, I have to go deep down into my spiritual conserve to be able to say something and not do it. For instance, whether it is the way I travel, whether it is the way I eat, consume, and the kind of things I lead people. So we thought deep about it. And much as people, we were having this conversation that I'll kind of dive deep into our engagement as the Shiv Nadar School initially, and then the larger ambit, because we are part of a larger society. So there is a multimodal reality where we have children, learners, parents coming from diverse backgrounds, the entitled, affluent backgrounds, and the ones staying right next to our school spaces, which are villages, thanks to some policies where you can really look at inclusion in a very practical way. So what is it that connects all of us? We thought deep, and that is breath. So you talked about behavior changes. You talked about getting into steering your attention towards things that you take for granted. I think the most abstract and concrete is breath. And we kind of developed an acronym which is very quiet in terms of its development. We don't talk about it. Sometimes it's important not to talk too much about things that you do. And that's the problem with most of the smartness of the world. You say more than you can ever do. And project reports say much more than what actually happens on ground. How do you raise generations that are authentic, that do not feel it is a curse to be rich, nor do they feel it's a curse to be poor? Dr. Amitabh was talking about poverty. A lot of these economic realities also contribute towards how we use, how we live. So I'm just giving you an acronym of breath for how we look at one foundational element, because I see my role as sharing what can be done. So we do small ritual like when anyone and everyone who enters the school in the morning, there is a music playing, and the music is of a very rich variety. Because again, I don't want to comment on what we have done to our sensibilities in terms of aesthetics. That's another question and another conversation altogether. And this is not to say one is right and the other is wrong, but you know how plants grow better when there is lovely music which is gentle. So music which kind of just is very imperceptibly there in your life, and then it stops, and then there is a gentle announcement which says, let's just stop where we are. So we look at a pause, breathe, resume thing, talking about spirituality. I think it's not the theory and the philosophy, it's just the practice. So anyone and everyone, when they just, without saying a word, without beating the instruction to say, hey, stop, quiet, behavior is infectious. And I think you need a whole community to be able to understand behavior, groom themselves, and lead more and more people into that. And you will, ideally, if any one of you come in, it took us a lot of time, almost 10 years. The most difficult thing is to say you're doing nothing, you're just breathing. Everyone wants to do a lot. It's a wastage of time, 15 minutes of wastage of time. So waste disposal is again a very, very complex thing. What are you really, we are into that month of pollution and, where we go and say sorry and we cleanse ourselves. So there is a lot of metacognition, indigenous knowledge that has got lost. A school, that is why we say breathing is building evolutionary learning system. What is evolutionary? A whole gamut of sciences comes into that. Research and inquiry is the R. An acronym is easy to practice, that is why. Research and inquiry oriented practices will take you to the past, will take you to history, will take you to some systems which have become obsolete, some which have become extinct, some which we have lost out, and some which we don't need at all also. So understanding phenomena, understanding how the world works, for instance, just a project on urja, energy. The child is not doing anything but understanding what is soil chemistry, how is it here and how is it in another country, or how is it. So you have communities where you become parts of these communities. E is for an empathic and socially constructive pedagogies. Now all of these run into many pages of deep dive into how you construct curriculum. A is for adaptive and appreciative operatives. Appreciative inquiry is a whole science. People have quite forgotten it. So why we've forgotten it? Because in the hustle and bustle of things, sometimes you lose out things. So do you have time to think about those sciences? T is for tenacious, character building, learning engagements. I feel the most disempowered sometimes are the ones who have a lot to live with. You know, if you have a lot of power, if you have a lot of money, if you have a lot of energy, no frugality to deal with, you're really missing out on creativity. So to create and simulate environments where you can connect to communities, where one can give to the other what the other has, these are the collaborations, and rural, urban, within the country, village, etc. Heuristic intelligence, and I think being able to see beyond the bend, that is part of the breath also. Just by pausing, breathing, reflecting and resuming, you will create some space to think about how you consume, what is the water system here about, who is getting water, who is not. And I think nature is a great teacher. It has given us so many times a rap on our knuckles, sometimes a nudge at the right place. Are we learning from it? I think I'm hopeful we are. We take 3 steps ahead and 2 steps back, that's all right. But we are taking 1 step ahead. So, and then again, a school cannot run on happenstance, you know. Very good principal, very good running, very good this one, very good, my teacher, no. You have to have a structure, as you were mentioning, where there are practices and projects which are somewhere agnostic of resources and persons. But yes, teacher is a curriculum. I always say that. First thing in a learning environment is whoever you consider, whether it's the sun, the moon, the trees, who are the teachers, and human beings, everyone will have to really make yourself worthy to be impacting lives. I see a little bit of hurry there. Everyone wants to just get into the class and teach. What are you doing with the person in your hands? That is impacting eternity. So you have to, a lot of resources have to go there. And as a person who looks at a universal design for learning as a good structure, I think the science of teaching and learning, the pedagogy, is not a choice. It is imperative to have. When a child is born, you kind of put the child into घुट्टी भी देना है, टाइम पे विटामिन भी देना है, टाइम पे सुलाना भी है. There is a certain structure in being able to get health all round. You can't just, you don't just hang the child on a peg to say jab marzi. No, you got to look after, you know. So I feel it's an opportunity more than a challenge. Whether they come from places where lifestyles are a little marred, too much of device and too much of everything, or they come from a place where they are regularly thinking of where will the next meal come from, it is the challenge which is the opportunity. And I think we have multiple knowledge systems, not just one. And research, inquiry, innovation regularly has been the core even of Indian education system. I won't take us into those old literatures where every task would answer 3 questions, and we have so much literature on that. So I'm kind of...
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your thoughts and views on this. So that kind of an inquisitiveness of in me want to ask you any favorite or more remarkable projects, because Shiv Nadar is known for the innovative approaches to education. So any remarkable project from Shiv Nadar schools that showcases the innovative approach and contribution of students in sustainability. Anything which is close to your heart, if you can like to share. I would say like in a very brief span, because we are running short.
I'll take 2 minutes only, just to say that the way we've designed the application of technology is geared towards creation and not consumption. And we use the design structure, which is empathize, ideate, and then collaborate, build a prototype, solve one living social problem. It could be the problem of using non-biodegradable material. It could be the problem of zero waste. It could be the problem of stress. And there's so many suicides happening in our world around us. It's another area. How to celebrate failure. These are projects. And we use technology, sociology, sciences, and we connect with universities and other spaces, NGOs. One of the most favorite right now that is going on, we do something called capstone, in which you have to create something where, so they made walkers which were non-resource heavy for old age homes, where you could use very easily available light walkers to climb stairs. There was, of course, during the air impurity time, they created all kinds of apparatus to have clean air in their home rooms, which were not just buying an air purifier and using it. And soil conservation project, which is going at an international level, soil study, understanding phenomena and experimenting with soil without letting it get degraded, is another project which is very close to my heart. मिट्टी से जुड़ना, साइंस के थ्रू हो या गाने के थ्रू हो या ब्रीदिंग के थ्रू हो, we look at multiple means of engagement in everything we do. और हम बिल्कुल उस टाइम पे कराते हैं when they are in grade 10, 9, where suddenly the booth is the board exams and all, and some parents would know that it's a lot of things that how are they. So we want them to be balanced, to say you don't study just because you got to earn marks. You got to contribute towards something around you. So search for something which you can solve. And this is a structured program for CSE.
Yeah, so design structures, that is essential. With this, we moved, thank you so much ma'am for sharing your thoughts and views. Definitely there are a lot of questions in the mind of our participants. Before that, let's move on to our final speaker, Dr. Amit. He is a research scientist turned visionary social entrepreneur who has made a significant impact in empowering the youth. Amit, I would like to understand what is the core mission behind your Connecting Dream Foundation, and if you can share some examples of the impact that CDF has had on empowering youth and fostering positive change within the communities.
Thanks a lot, Neha, and I would like to thank all the panelists before me for bringing in so much diverse perspectives about sustainability, and that has made my life quite easier right now. So we started almost 10 years back, and the entire motive behind Connecting Dreams Foundation, as the word says, that if we can start helping achieve other people's dream, your dreams get connected. And that's how the Connecting Dream Foundation was formed. And because it was my personal journey where I was trying to figure out how can I connect my dream and how can I find my dream. And in the process, I started supporting other people in connecting their dreams, and in the end, this has become my dream. So that's how we started as Connecting Foundation, and the entire motive was that how can as an individual, as youth specifically, we can contribute to the society. How can we live much more sustainably? How can we bring change which is sustainable? That's what we try and do as an organization overall. We started with 2 villages in 2013. Right now we're working in 35 countries across the globe with more than 25,000 change makers created over the last 10 years. As we're just talking about education, we're talking about sustainability. I think our entire education system, right now the NEP has come in, but overall the way I have gone through it is more about preparing us for competitions, preparing us for jobs. Okay, it is not about how can we give back, right? And the journey from, and then when we are competitive, we are tensed, we are stressed always. Okay, we try and give our best in whatever way, but we are always stressed. And when it comes to competition, there are many takers and few givers, right? But the moment you change this mindset from competition to contribution, as ma'am said, then entire game changes. When there is no competition, when you're contributing, even I'm not talking about money, it's about your skills, your interest, or whatever you want to do. Okay? So I always ask people 2 questions, and this question is open to everyone as well here. Like, if you have to study not to pass exams, but to learn something, what would you study? Okay, and if you don't have to work to earn livelihood, what would you do? If you could find just these 2 answers, you will find the passion or the mission of your life, and that's what sustainability is all about. Okay, and this is what we do as an organization. We create different programs from early on, from 6th standard onwards, till even colleges, and then we are supporting a lot of startups across the globe where we're trying to see how can you create products, how can you do things which are sustainable in nature. Because first of all, we need to understand from the basics what is sustainability. Sustainability is not just a fashion word that we're using everywhere. Because in creating something which is sustainable, like even if you're saying this conference, we are saying sustainability conference, but this is not sustainable. Okay, the things that we're organizing, the way we are doing it is not sustainable in nature. But what sustainability is all about is a permanent change, bringing in permanent change or change which is sustainable. This is what we try to do in this particular process, that any change that you do which comes back to the original state is not a change. So can we create change makers across the globe, youth, who can understand the concept of systems, who can understand the concept of change making or sustainable change making, and we can change the world in a better way. So this is what we are doing as an organization so far. As an impact, you asked the second thing, like overall so far we have impacted more than 18 lakh lives over last 10 years directly through these projects. More than 1,500 projects have been done in different colleges, schools in India and outside with various stakeholders. So this has been done so far, and the aim is to reach out to more than I'll say 1 million lives, 1 million dreams to be connected. 10 million dreams to be connected by 2025 is the mission that we are going ahead with. And sustainability or SDGs acceleration is the core work that we do.
Wow. Amazing, amazing. Amit, you have also been instrumental in organizing the Change Maker 20 Summit under the G20 presidency of India. Could you tell us how do you encourage and facilitate youth participation in projects and activities that contribute to the achievement of these global SDGs?
Sure. Thanks Neha for this. I think the entire concept of Change Maker 20 came in with the thought that can we bring in people from across the globe to talk about sustainability under the presidency of India, G20 presidency of India, and we thought it's not possible to do it physically. It is very difficult, and again, it's not economical to do it. So we actually started doing it in an online format. And to our surprise, we got participants from 137 countries. We got 760 speakers, and it was one of the longest ever conference on sustainable development online. 122 hours continuously, 24 hours it was done. And it has broken 3 world records. We just received the world records last week itself. That's broken 3 world records for the online summit ever happened. Right? And when it comes to encouraging students, I think the only question that we ask people is, what is it that you want to achieve in life? It's more important not to just go after money or something. It's more about the happiness. Okay, when when we talk about the countries globally, I think we always talk about Bhutan when we talk about sustainability. Okay? It's the only carbon neutral country, but you can also see the direct relation to its happiness index. The happiness index is also maximum. So that means there is a correlation between sustainability and happiness. So if people can run after happiness and they can live that, I can live my life happily, I think sustainability comes in. Sustainability is very natural. It is not something that we have to create from outside. If we can just think in a way that we can live sustainably, we can be happy with what we are doing, and we start helping each other out, and we can all just work with this or just live with this particular thought that we would like to live this plan, leave this planet better than what we have received, then we don't have to think or talk about sustainability. It happens. It's our nature. That's the feeling. It is not something that we have to do something else. If we can be natural, I think sustainability, that is what it is.
So, under your leadership, CDF has engaged with a lot of youth. You talked about your future goals and aspirations also. So, the youth under CDF is leading environmental projects or initiatives. So, are there any notable youth-led projects that have made a significant impact in terms of social impact, if you can focus on?
So I'll just give example of a couple of them. I think I'll start with one project that started somewhere in 2014-15 at LSR, Lady Shri Ram College, where this group of girls were working with a village group of women who were making cloth bags at that time. Okay, in a normal scenario, when you make a cloth bag in a market, you can purchase it for say like 25 rupees, 30 rupees. Okay, but the cost of production is also high. When these people make it, the cost of production is approximately 12 rupees when we consider the cloth and etc. And then there is also a travel or transportation included. So end of the day, each of these women were earning approximately 7 to 8 rupees per bag, not more than that. Right? And during the month, they were able to make only 3,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees maximum using this approach. Okay, so this was the problem that we started working on with the team. And we figured out how can we increase their income, plus can we reduce the cost of the material that is used. At that time, fortunately or unfortunately, elections were also going on in that area, right? And a lot of flex banners were around there at that time. So as a part of the drive, as a cleaners drive, the students collected almost 100 kgs of flex banners. And while we were doing our workshop and a discussion around that, we figured out, can we use flex banners, because that was also a challenge to decompose flex banners. It's difficult to do it. So can we use flex banners as the inner material for the bags? Okay, and we got wonderful support. We got some designers on board, and they helped us create 15 to 20 different designs. And the students also got in touch with some export houses, got some extra surplus cloth, which became the outer lining of the bag. And these became so beautiful, bags become so beautiful that the first lot was purchased by the students themselves. Then these students trained those women on making those bags. Now you see the bags cost is almost got to negligible because there is no other material other than the accessories being used. Each of these bags were sold for a minimum of 200 rupees. So the cost of the bag have increased from 25 what they were selling for to 200 rupees, and the cost of production has gone down. So their income has increased to almost 2 to 3 times, right? So, and what happened, this project also got a wonderful recognition award at UN headquarters in New York, and the team went there to present that work, and they also sold their bags there. That also happened. But one of the best things happened that when these students came back, a couple of them have taken this up full time. Now they're supporting almost 200 women in a sustainable livelihood like this, and they've started a project called Basta like this. You can search online, you will find that. This is just one example. There is also an example by Hansraj College where they are doing a work with a local NGO and a slum out there, where they are using the cig drop. It's a cig drop project where they're using the cotton from the cigarettes, which is the burned cigarettes out there, recycling it and creating stuffed toys, mattresses out of it, and also generating livelihood. So our point is also, when we do these projects, we also associate livelihood with each of these projects, because that's the only way you can bring sustainability. Otherwise, the moment people come out, the projects will go down. So we try and include the community, the corporates, the CSOs, and the change makers together to create an ecosystem which is sustainable in nature.
Wow, thank you so much, Amit, for sharing such initiatives with us. With this, can we have a big round of applause for all our panelists over here? Now moving to the question and answers round. Questions, please? Yes, sir.
I have two totally different questions. One is one I want to one point and one is a general question just for you. But now this star rating that. Hello. Anshuman, you a very big thank you for the star that you got for the recycling, reuse of the any water leakage, prevention of water wastage. But what about the, because as the mission director, I was a water mission director for 3 years in Government of India, and in late 2010s, 8, 9 and 10. But what my finding was all over India, even abroad also, there is a more, but I'm talking about more of India, there more of focus on the this prevention of leakage or prevention of the conservation of water rather than the quality aspect. Now, is there any kind of a competition by the Niti Aayog or any other agency for the, why not star rating for the quality, the best quality water? Drinking water, I'm talking of the drinking water aspect. So, is there anything going on so far as the government initiatives, Niti Aayog and maybe in the private also initiatives concerned? Conservation of the water absolutely essential, but along with that, the drinking water needs, because even in Delhi, where we are sitting, there is a huge problem of fluoride. In fact, there is so much of fluorosis in the slum clusters that is quite mind-boggling. Even my 3 years in the mission director has showed me and there are other like arsenic is very rampant along the two sides of the Ganges, Bangladesh,
Sure.
the East Bengal.
I get your question.
So that is one, or will you answer, then I'll go to another. Yeah.
See, as far as water rating is concerned, or even if you talk about use efficiency perspective, you cannot talk about water only by flows. It has to be water quantum and quality both. So as far as our rating, perspective is concerned, we are taking both into account. But just for your, I'm sure you would know that you were part of the system earlier as mentioned. And I was asking the audience yesterday a question as well, where I asked people, we all use the word drinking water, PAGL. How you define drinking water? What is PAGL? Just because it is looking clean or clear and not smelly, can you drink it? Or should you drink it? Is it drinking water? So we do have a standard, IS 10500, which prescribes around 63, 64 parameters, and each of those parameters should be met, and I believe that is still less. Anyway, that's a different debate, what the standard should be, updated now. But the point is, we do have standards which actually should be defining water quality. Now, when the water supply systems in our cities are designed, they are committed to a policy of providing 24/7 water and water which is 100% quality as per the BIS. So as far as the standards is concerned, that's already there. I think the challenge is in meeting the standard and implementing the policy.
Actually, you have probably not understood my question. My question was, there is a star rating competition with the Niti Aayog for the amount of water conservation. I am saying, has the Niti Aayog or any other agency started a rating system for the quality aspect along with the quality, or is it combines both the rating?
No, rating system is just not there in water sector anyways. That's the reason we were selected for, because this is an idea we proposed. But I do want to, I do want to mention one thing in our Griha rating. For example, this is established rating across the country accepted by the Government of India, where water is one of the components of rating. So what it does is it looks into the efficient practices, including water quality of any entity or a building or establishment. So that's as of now what is there. But I think no rating as of now which is there for for water quality, or for that matter even for water quality.
I think that is my submission of that. Now, another question I want to just for the entire panel. This lifestyle for environment is my belief in government, semi-government, my entire career of like around 50 years, 45 to 50 years, that the poverty is the biggest polluter. There cannot be any lifestyle for sustainability or environmental sustainability unless the basic mind-boggling, numbing poverty at the very grassroots level, even now in India is somehow tackled. Now poverty can be, as Prabhuji is saying, poverty can be a mental, as you said, Tuteja say, poverty of mental, physical, but basic physical poverty. So now poverty, in fact, it is the sustainability, lack of sustainability. What we are seeing is basically the tier 2, tier 3, tier 2, tier 1 cities, that where we are suffering from a malady of excess. The children are forced into something which they don't want. The adults are going to forced into something but they have to. The buying and the consumerism has gone to such an ugly level that it is but natural that the environment is going to rebel against that kind of a thing. So, but I suppose what we have to somehow, when you talk about lifestyle, we are a very significant section which is the basic villages at the, I am not talking of the village of the state I come from, which is Gujarat, not that. They are much better. Bihar, Odisha, the tribal areas, the hilly and tribal areas, they are actually the 10 rupees have 10 rupees today means the distinction very light for them. So I suppose there the lifestyle for environment is the maximum focus rather than having those jargons. I think I call them jargons. Lifestyle. So
can we get the question, sir? Is it a comment or a question?
Yeah, it's a more of a comment. So I said, have you people focusing on these sectors rather than, because what I get an idea about most of them is you are talking about the middle class, upper middle class sectors. Sure. But what are the sectors which are can be developed?
Yeah. So I think you have put up a very valid point. I think you said the problem of excess. I think the difference is between problem of excess and excess. So EXESS and ACCESS. So if you're talking about tribal areas or villages, the problem is excess. You can't reach out to these resources. When we talk about these clusters of urban areas or metros, you have problem of excess. You have more resources. So the problem is very different. So poverty in metros is very different as compared to poverty in village areas. Okay, and it has to be tackled in a very, very, very different way. Poverty in urban areas is more because of lack of resources or crunch or pressure on resources out there, even though there is accessibility to all those things out there. But when we talk about villages or when we talk about tribal areas, we don't have access to those things. But if you see, sir, the lifestyle for environment is much better in tribal areas. People are already in sync with. The problem happens when we compare or when we want to make those tribal areas equal into cities. That's where the problem arises. And that's where, even if we say in India, we have such a huge land area, but the population is also huge. But almost, when I was studying in my school, we used to say that 70% people live in villages. Now the data is 42%. And just over 20 years, this 70% to 42% has happened. So when this is happening and the land area has increased only from, which was 12% to 17%. So with 5%, with this much of area, more than, I'll say 58% people living in 17%, the challenge will ought to come. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're not brushing. That's what I'm saying. It's a very different. So it's a very different approach that people.
Do we have more questions? That will be the okay. We'll have only last two questions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for the
I would
opportunity.
appreciate if you can keep your question crisp and straight.
Yeah, I'll try. So, I'm Dr. Ritu. I am from BML Munjal University. I'm an associate professor of sustainability and marketing, and I'm also the head for the Center for Sustainability Research and Advocacy at the university. Both my children study in Shiv Nadar School in Gurgaon, and I can completely resonate, ma'am, with what you said. Yes, they sometimes come and teach us sustainability, so that is very positive and good for us. Now, my question is that being an educator in the higher education institution, we see that schools, at the school level, children may be, dealt with mindfully. So they go through mindfulness and their sensory experiences, like you talked about music being one of the factors or many others, so they definitely go on that path. And we're talking about education for climate action and sustainability here. So, but when they come to higher education institutions like ours, and I running the center, when we have programs designed for them where they need to go through certain things, and we expect them to contribute through live projects, through industry connects, through various other ways to contribute to sustainability. But there comes especially like the MBA students' mindset where they want fat packages, and they say that there is a cutthroat competition, we do not have time for that, there is this company coming and that company coming, and always, you know, that sword hanging of how much are we being paid. There is where the real challenge comes. When the market, to stay relevant in the market, sensitive university like ours would also may fall prey to the market forces and still want to contribute to socially and, you know, stuff like that. So my question basically is, in CRISP, what is the role that a higher education institution should and can play in this complexity and VUCA and, you know, so an environment which doesn't support what we want to do, but we do want to do, but then we also want to do the other things, so there's always that.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, but I still would want their views.
I'll invite the others also to say what they wish to. Just in short, I think, so lifestyle is something which is a belief of a citizen, all right? And this whole, we were talking about competition, we're talking about, there is enough for everyone's need, but not for greed, is an easily used expression, Gandhiji's expression. It has to start with a lot of conversation and acceptance of living frugally. I think higher education has a cultural problem everywhere, and a pure pressure of, you know, belonging to a certain, so I think lifestyle is by itself a conversation and a practice of the structure. You look at how, I'm not saying yours, I'm sure you're very, the fat packages, I don't think should serve as a contradiction to living a lifestyle. I'm sorry, I'm using a little literature here, you know, but, you know, Parjan hit lag hi sampati sajay hi sujan, they used to say. Tarvar phal nahi khat hai, sarvar piyat na pan. So you were never earning money only to eat it up yourself. I'm happy if environmentally aware and sustainably fit people are earning more money, they will do more towards the organizations. So I think you have a great opportunity there to look after children, to earn. I know the problem there is whether you are authentically doing things or just to earn a profile and, you know, a resume which really fits in. But so that's a dilemma, which is a dilemma which I think the life coach must be dealing with many people. But I don't see a contradiction.
There's no contradiction
Yeah.
as such, but I think
You
it's
can.
a very vast topic that you've picked up. But a very simple solution can be, to begin very crisp, is like if you can give exposure to those. Right now the role models are not there. If you can give more and more exposure, as Shipnader ma'am has mentioned, that if you can take them through experiences, I think the moment they go through that process, they will just figure out what is the mission and vision of the life.
Right.
And at that time, it's easier to make choices. Like I can just cite a couple of examples. Through our experience over last 10 years, the students have gone through our program, have gone through these experiences, visited villages and communities. Many of them have changed their careers. I have seen people from ICSE who are getting very fat packages have refused them and have started their own NGOs now. Many people have done that. So it is all about exposure. I changed my entire career because of the exposure that I got. So I think the nature is the best.
Right. We need to move towards contributions. I think we can continue with the discussion during the lunch time. Thank you so much. We won't be taking any more.
I wanted to mention that what did you teach your child, you know, fat packages or happiness and contribution. So that's the point I'm making. If we start doing that, these models will change over a period of time.
So what a panel. We started with talking about the best presentation of the mission live to green eco village shared by the Gaurang Das ji, and Shashi ji talking about the importance of design structure, Soumya talking about rolling of schemes by the government. It's essential to sensitize and aware the people at grassroots level, and Amit, how correctly you mentioned competition to contribution. Yes, thank you so much everyone. As a token of gift, we would like to honor all our panelists, and I'll request Dr. Dipankar Sarya to please come up on stage and honor our panelists. Thank you everyone.
One group photograph. Yes, sir. One group photograph. Sir, one group. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Can we have everyone seated, please? I have a formal vote of thanks to do. Thank you, please. Thank you. Yeah. We have been waiting so patiently listening to all our speakers, so vote of thanks to banta hai. So, I'll say the greatest threat to our planet is the belief Sure. The greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. Quote unquote, Robert Swan. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nitika Chhabra, fellow Terry, and I've been given this honor to present a vote of thanks to the August gathering. What a discussion. They were lovely. The insights given were amazing. So it is an honor for me to propose this vote of thanks. At the outset, I would like to thank our organizers, Mobius Foundation, for putting this event together and creating this platform for us to deliberate and understand the nuances of mission life. The different perspectives we had from the different speakers is definitely food for thought for us to work ahead. I would like to thank all the speakers individually and talking also about the key takeaways that they talked about that I have taken from this session. Dr. Anshuman talked that water use efficiency can be made effective when we have this critical mass change and in the area of sustainability, and it can be achieved through collaboration, and youth have a major role to play. Thank you so much for your insights, and we learned about water positive restaurants and the star rating that is given to them, for which you also received an award, the project that you had sent to Niti Aayog. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights. Ms. Sil talked about how the three pillars, that is economy, environment and civil society, need to work together. It has to be bottoms up approach, not the bottoms down, not the top down approach. So because we know that this is something which it has to be a people-led movement, and we cannot expect the government to, kind of institutionalize policies, and then we have to work on. Thank you so much, Ms. Sil, for your valuable insights. I would also like to talk about the insights which Mr. Rupeshwar Prabhu had talked about. He talked about how pollution of environment is directly related to pollution of mind. Because even if we clean the whatever problems that we are facing currently, it is again going to become polluted. So we have to work on the consciousness. And a very excellent project he talked about was Eco Village, the Govardhan Eco Village project. And we wish we have more such projects. It is, scaled up and replicated at different places, so that our children and youth benefit from it. Thank you so much for your insights, and it helped us understand the relationship between spirituality and sustainability. Thank you so much. Ms. Banerjee talked about, very rightly she mentioned that mindfulness, co-creation is very important for working towards practicing sustainability. And very interestingly, she talked about acronym breath, what it means, and it is so intricate. It took little time. It will take little time to actually absorb what actually the acronym means. But definitely the efforts which Shiv Nagar School is doing is making towards children aware how sustainability can be achieved. The capstone project which ma'am you talked about, my daughter and my son both study in your school, and they've been working on different projects, and the kind of knowledge that they are they have at the moment, they come back home. There is another ma'am who is sitting in the audience, and she rightly mentioned, they come back to us and tell us what they're doing at school and how they're doing it. It's really very encouraging. Thank you so much for your insights that you shared in this session. Dr. Tudeja mentioned his ambition is to support the dreams of others so that his dreams of sustainability are achieved. And we know that whatever we send in the universe comes back to us, and we hope that whatever efforts that we are putting in the universe will come back to us in the form of solutions, which we are going to adopt, and hopefully we will move in the right direction and kind of educate our next generation to follow the same. Thank you so much. I would like to thank all the panelists from the bottom of my heart for their valuable insights and the time that they took out from their busy schedules to be part of this panel and enlighten us with the initiatives which are being taken up at their end. I'd like to thank Dr. Dipankar and Dr. Livleen for the motivation and support that they have provided us to organize this session. We'll also like to thank Dr. Neha for conducting this session meticulously. We'd like to thank my other colleagues from TERI for the support in helping us organize this event. And in the end, would like to, and definitely would like to thank audience for their patience and participating in this session. Thank you so much. In the end, would like to put a quote by Prime Minister Modi. He says, climate change cannot be fought from conference table. It has to be fought from the dining tables in our homes. So it is time for action, for a mindful, it's time for a mindful action. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. And we may please move to the Charminar for lunch. Thank you so much.